Hello everybody and welcome to Mindset. So I've had a few people ask me this week where my love of the paranormal comes from and also to relay some of my ghost stories. So I think for this first episode, just to see how it lands and what you guys really like, I'm just going to tell you some of my ghost stories, okay? Because for me, seeing is believing, and I've loved ghosts and aliens and everything since I was a little girl, honestly. I've always wanted to be a paranormal investigator, weirdly, but growing up it was like, you can't do that, that's not a serious job. Anyway, look who made it. But when it comes to ghost stories, I've got tons of them, so if you want to hear any more about anything, please do drop a comment and then I can come back to it and elaborate. I would be feeding the rabbits outside at night because there was a rabbit hutch on the back garden. I'd often feel like there was, a figure, a looming figure behind me, and I'd look and there'd be no one there. Years later, when Mum and Dad built an annex on the property, the doorway went out viewed, with the window actually viewed that sort of area, but it was a mottled glass. There was a few times me and my sister were in there, you'd see movement go past the actual window. And there was this one time my sister actually ran to the window thinking it was my father. When she opened the door and looked, there was no one there. And she was like, oh yeah, that's really strange. Anyway, she came and closed the door. And I jokingly said, haha, it's the shadowy figure from the garden, isn't it? Anyway, this shadowy figure comes back, doesn't it? Right in front of the door. Like that. And I say to my sister, you're going to open the door? And she was like, no. My mum and dad weren't at home that time. No one was at home that time, but that's a story for another day. There's loads of creepy stories from my childhood home. It's brilliant. So there was this other time, a few summers ago, when I was working for an event in Derbyshire, and we got put up in a bed and breakfast hotel type thing. A nice family run affair. Lovely. Anyway, turn up there and I mega get that creepy vibe. I'm like, whoa, this place has got some edge, hasn't it? And no one actually said anything about it. Like, oh no, there's nothing going on here. I promise. You know what your friends are like, they're like, don't be silly, not everywhere has to be haunted. And I'm like, agreed, yeah, not everywhere is haunted, but this has got a well spooky vibe, you can feel it. Especially when, the person at the desk comes to greet you and they're a little bit like, I like that when people have got an edge. I remember going to bed one night and just being so tired after work that I just conked out. I thought I was going to sleep all the way through the night. I wound up waking up in the middle of the night and I look into the room and I think my roommate, because I was sharing a room with somebody, was stood up in the room, staring away from me towards the window and everything in the corner of the room. And I was just there and I was looking. And I was like, what the? No, I remember saying, what time is it? And she didn't respond to me, which I thought was rude. My phone was on the bedside table, so I remember getting my phone, looking at my phone, being like, it's 3 a.m, what's she doing? And as I'm putting my phone down, I was about to say again, it's 3 a.m. And I put my phone down here, but I look across, and the woman that I'm sharing a room with is still in bed. My brain has finally clocked that the maths is not adding up here. Whoa, blood ran cold and I just looked. They're still not looking at me, they're looking away. And I'm doing the whole, is this sleep paralysis? Wiggle your feet, do anything. Can I speak out loud? Of course I can, because I did it, but I thought, right, do it again. And suddenly it started to move. And I was just there in shock, just looking. And this person, whoever they were moving away from me to the corner of the room. They're going along and then suddenly they turn to look at me as they're gliding away. Terrifying. I thought to myself, maybe I've had a really mad dream. Maybe I'm really stressed out at work and maybe I really need a holiday. The next morning I think to myself, I've got to tell this story. I'd already started to tell my actual roommate about it, but because we were working long shifts, we had a bit of a rule where we won't start talking to each other until we're at breakfast. And it was a rule that worked really well because you just needed that quiet time. Event live. But anyway, at breakfast I'm telling my work friends of my story, hey, I had this mad experience last night, don't know if it was a dream or don't know if it was this, but it felt pretty real. Anyway, this woman comes over and says to me, what room are you in? I'm like, I beg your pardon. She went, what room are you in? And I was like, why? Bit of an intense question. Not even had my Linda McCartney sausages yet. Calm down. They said, no, it's funny you should say that because I woke up in the middle of the night. It felt like someone came into my room and I felt like I was being watched. And I was like, I beg your pardon. And she went, yeah, it felt like someone came into my room and like I was being watched and the room went cold and all this sort of stuff. And we were like, what? Figures out she was in the room next to mine. And I was like, well, right, that's a bit different, isn't it? I didn't really know what to make of it. Didn't have my camera with me that time or anything. That was... I went for a normal job and wound up still finding spooks, which is great. We researched the hotel and a lot of people had reported some spooky happenings there, so that's very, very good, isn't it? But they're the two stories I'm going to give you at the moment. I have worked at a haunted hotel before and there's been times when I've definitely seen things and heard things and what have you. So if you want to know more, let me know. I wanted to keep this as a short video just to sort of bring you into the spooky life. I'm really into the paranormal thing, and if you want to hear any more ghost stories, maybe I can make the lighting even more moody and utilise my spooky chair more. Who knows? But look after yourselves, guys. Keep those questions coming in on Instagram and look after yourselves.